What's up, everyone? NFL Week 14 is here, and we're taking a first look at DraftKings Sunday main slate for NFL Week 14. We're coming off Week 13 for us. If you watch this video, if you're part of DFS Army, absolutely one of the best weeks we've had all year. I love that everybody else is bitching about it because they were all so wrong. You came to this video, we said Brissett, we said Tyrod Taylor. We loaded up on Tyrod everywhere. And it took tournaments down. It was amazing, guys. This is honed in. This late part of the season, we are locked in right now. I just want to send a shout out to Matt Geek. 3 weeks in to his tenure here at DFS Army, using the domination station, takes down a ticket to the Fantasy Football World Championships. Ballsy, I love it. Kind of hitting up, attacking the Millie Maker and the World Championship. You kind of see the difference between when you hit that first place and when you don't. But yeah, he said third week of using the domination station. So congrats to Magic getting into the big show. I also want to send a shout out to Wolvie, but not just him. Look at this screenshot from last week. This was just everything. The pocket minis, we took everything down. I was competing with you guys to take down pocket. I was all over the leaderboards as well. But I just want to send a shout out to Twolfie for taking down the first down. This is a dollar contest, but this is a 120,000 entrant contest. And this is when I say we've been locked in. The domination station has been dominating. You hear about all these other tools, and yet here we are continuing to dominate the competition, 12, 13 years into this. It's amazing. Not just two Wolfie in there. We got 3 other helmets in the top 5. These are different people running the same optimizer differently. And like I said, if you watch Tournament Tactics this week, I literally said on Tournament Tactics, I'm considering only using Tyrod Taylor in every lineup I make this week. I ended up using him a ton. Very, very profitable week for me as well, even if I don't have a 50K personal screenshot to show you. Got enough here in the membership. So guys, you're in the right place. You're watching the right stuff. Get your contest selection right. We've got 4 more weeks of the regular season. By the way, it's like 10 weeks. With how things are extended, Christmas week has 2 full main slates, maybe 3. Got a whole bunch of weeks. Of course, the playoffs, my favorite time of year for NFL football as well. So a ton of NFL DFS action still remaining. For those of you who are competing this week to make your fantasy football season-long playoffs, I wish you best of luck. And let's get into this breakdown and see if maybe we can help find some angles, even for your fantasy teams. All right, so before I get into it, of course, give me that like, give me that subscribe number. Let me know in the comments. Did you follow along with my plays from last week? Did you crush it with Ty God? Are you going back to Ty God this week? What about Jacoby Brissett? Do you like that play? Did that work out for you? Let me know in the comments section below. Never bad, only good in the comments. Don't want to hear your bad thoughts. I already heard it all last week, ripping on me for the plays that all smashed. Oh, this guy likes Tyrod. He's an idiot. All right. Brissett again? Why am I bothering watching this? That's what you guys said in the comments. Some of you, not you guys, not you guys, other people. I was like, all right, let's see how it goes. Maybe you're right. Well, let's see how it goes this week, guys. Let's get right into it. NFL Week 14. Right off the bat, the first game on the list, excuse me, the Bengals at the Bills, 52.5 point total. What? The Bengals are a cheat code every time they play. That's a cheat code for opposing team going to smash. Josh Allen at home, oh my goodness. Against the Bengals, James Cook, absolute game of the week here. 52.5 point total. Everybody is in play. Return of T. Higgins, couldn't come at a better time. Joe Burrow's in it. Josh Allen back at home where he's better. And James Cook against the weakest run defense in the league. So much to like about that game. Next, we've got the Saints at the Bucks, right? This is just a spot where we want to focus on Bucks defense and maybe Bucky Irving or some piece from the Bucks offensive side, but that's about it. 17 point total on the Saints. That's gross. We stay away from that. Steelers at the Ravens. Honestly, I don't know what to make of this one. I don't trust the Ravens offense at all anymore. Steelers offense really slow and boring. I don't know. Right now, nothing. I guess this is a Derrick Henry spot, so we could pay attention to it. But overall, I just don't like it. This one's a little more interesting. Colts at the Jaguars. Very close game. Look at that spread. 24.5, 23, 47.5 total. This is probably the second best game on the slate. It certainly looks like it could be competitive. Jonathan Taylor's back in a acceptable matchup. The whole rest of the Colts offense, very viable here. Pittman, Pierce. And then on the Jaguar side, yeah, they're going to have to, they're going to have to press the issue to get it done here. So Jacoby Myers, I mean, can we trust Brian Thomas Jr.? Can we? Parker Washington? Brenton Strange, probably been the best guy on that offense so far. So we'll pay attention to that. Not super, going to be super excited about Travis Etienne, though. That dude's fool's gold every time. Miami at the Jets, 40.5 point total seems really low. But you know what? I'm going back to it. I don't care. Ty God's on the slate. He's at home against a mediocre to bad defense. Fine by me. We're going to go back to Donnie Mitchell. We're going to go back to Tyrod, Von Achan, all that. All of it. But that's about it. That's all of it. Titans at the Browns. Browns defense and Quentin Judkins stack combination in play here. That's it. Commanders at the Vikings. Vikings probably going to get McCarthy back. He's actually terrible, but probably less terrible than Brosmer. And by the way, how about that Seattle defense play last week? Smashing. Always play defenses against third string quarterback. It's not that hard this game. It's not that hard. I had 30% Seattle. What were you guys doing who didn't have that? Yeah, I paid down a little bit when I needed to for that $2,200 one. But when you had to pay, you got to pay up against a rookie. 30-point defense. That was the difference between tournament wins and, 25th place mid finishes. This week, the Vikings are getting JJ McCarthy back. So we're not going to get the Brosmer cheat code for defenses. And the Vikings are at home, which is a little less good, but JJ McCarthy is terrible. So I think that Commanders defense is still very much viable here. Seattle hits the road to take on the Falcons. Kirk Cousins not looking great. Seattle defense in play here once again. We're going to get a lot of noise about going back to Kenny Walker or all this. I don't think I'm going to do that. Let's hope that our, let's call them, our competition continues to make that a chalk play that we can take advantage of here. So a lot of times I'm noticing that some of our competition is sort of pumping up players. Not really sure why, but don't really care. It's been a massive opportunity week after week. Every week when we come on Tournament Tactics and we show you the bad chalk pieces and then they fail, those are opportunities. This past week, the CJ Stroud chalk, that was just an opportunity for us. When the field is doing something stupid, that just gives us edge. Got to jump on that. So let's see what happens this week. Obviously, it's really early, but maybe they'll give us, I don't know. JJ McCarthy again. All right, back to it. We'll fade that. Broncos at the Raiders. That's gross for the Raiders side. No interest, right? Broncos side, I don't know. Defense, Harvey, if we want to get crazy, but I don't really trust Harvey that much either. But that's kind of what stands out to me exclusively in that game. Mostly an ignore. Here we go. This one's kind of interesting. I think this has some level of potential here. Chicago at the Packers. 44.5 point total. Packers coming in with a 25.5 point team total. Chicago, the Bears are winning everything. On the road, at home, they're just winning. Good defense. They don't care. They're winning all the games. This is going to be a tough spot, though, for Chicago. It's going to be tough to really want to play any of their offense on the road at the Packers. That's just not really been a fruitful place to choose fantasy players from. So I'm leaning to no to pretty much any Bears on the team. But I do like going right back to the Packers with Josh Jacobs and with Christian Watson. I think those two spots have been really good ever since even Dontavian Wicks. Ever since they lost Tucker Kraft, effectively they have to throw a little bit more to the wide receivers. So it just helped out the wide receiver group just a smidge because they really don't have the tight end that's going to absorb all the targets. Finally, we got the Rams at the Cardinals, 48 point total. All the usual suspects in play here. I'm not going to be excited about Brissett against this level of elite defense, even at home, especially priced up where he is now. But I think there are definitely pieces from both sides of this game that are going to be viable. With the Rams at this point, I mean, they only really used 3 players, maybe 4 between Adams, Puka, and the rest of it. As far as which one of those to play in this blowout possible scenario, that I don't know. They're all a little overpriced. So with that being said, let's jump over to DraftKings and start kind of whittling down this player pool. We'll talk through some of these spots. And we'll talk about some of the players that I think are going to be viable, good plays this week, starting with Josh Allen. Obviously, 7,700 is a lot to pay for a quarterback, but this is one of those Josh Allen can score 40 plus situations. These are the times you don't need Josh Allen until he does this. Then you needed him. He's only actually probably been the nuts play the 2 times he scored 40 plus this season. That's it. These 24s, these 28s, they're not going to get it done at this price. Not even really helpful. The other thing with Josh Allen is it's very rare that he carries a wide receiver with him. Even in the 47-point game, this was done because he rushed for 3 touchdowns. This first one ran for 2 touchdowns. When Josh Allen is smashing, it's almost always because he's smashing in touchdowns. They did him dirty in Buffalo. They don't have any quality wide receivers on this team. The best they have is a solid WR3 and Khalil Shakir, and that's all he is. Why would you do dirty like this to your super stud quarterback? I don't know. But anyway, I don't normally like to use the most expensive quarterback in the first look, but I love Josh Allen. Matthew Stafford is certainly playable here. Not a play that I love at this price. Again, Matthew Stafford to me is more the kind of player that I'm looking to target at, at like closer to 6K or sub 6K levels. I don't like him at 7K, 7, 4, 21, 28. I mean, effectively, to 4X this salary, he'd have to put up 28 or 30 points. And I mean, he's gotten there a couple times. So he's been there. This is the kind of spot that could happen against Arizona if Arizona shows some resistance. But even that's not quite enough. Like at that price, I think there'll be other wide receiver or other quarterbacks for cheaper than 7K that were probably likely to get us, 25, 26 points. So if we pay this much for Stafford and you only get that, it's not really exciting. Lamar Jackson, I think we need to temper expectations week to week on Lamar. He's coming off. I mean, this has just not been that great of a season. He has not crossed 30 fantasy points even once, which, by the way, at 7K, you need to be at around 29, 30. So he's hit 4X here and there, but not the 5X. And last 3 weeks, 9, 7, 6. I mean, it's just gross. I don't know if he's still hurt, what's going on. But there's a 12er in there. That being said, this is a perfectly good matchup against Pittsburgh. They're at home, and it's a perfectly good matchup for him. And game certainly has some potential, but it's not where I don't think this is where I'm going this week. Joe Burrow's a decent play. The other side of Josh Allen in that game, I would probably lean that if I'm playing Joe Burrow, I'm almost better off just playing Josh Allen, just paying the difference and putting Allen in there. I'd kind of think that, but Joe Burrow has some mild appeal as well, standalone. But again, I'm going to lean Josh Allen generally over Joe Burrow. So it is what it is. Here's Danny Dimes and 6K. He's been good, but not great. Not slate breaking. And unfortunately, this game does line up again as one where you would expect the Colts to lean heavy on Jonathan Taylor, which, just serves as a massive, let's call it check against Daniel Jones' ability to put up a monster score. Bo Nix is another one. I mean, I don't see the Raiders being competitive enough to force Bo Nix to do anything here, so I'm not going to be super into that. Jaden Daniels, no. Jolo, maybe. GPP kind of play. So I think with Jordan Love, we're looking at a bit of a tournament-only spot here against Chicago. I think it's doable, but Chicago have to push the issue. But also for that to work, Josh Jacobs probably going to have to fail. Baker Mayfield, again, I think it's a little soon with him. Brissett, coming off that injury, and again, in a non-competitive matchup, I think this is a Bucky Irving game. Brissett at home, great, but taking on a really tough Rams defense, I don't think that's the spot for him to blow up. Although Brissett's been great, and we played him last week, and we played him the week before. Brissett's been our guy for multiple weeks in a row, and it has worked out really well based on his salary, based on what other quarterbacks did for most of these weeks. So he continues his 20-plus point streak. He's been great for us, but I think I'm going to get off the bandwagon this week and maybe look elsewhere. Caleb Williams, Chicago at the Packers. Again, Packers tough defense. Caleb on the road, not nearly as good. So that's probably going to be a no-go for me. Sam Darnold, what's that Q tag about? dealing with an ankle injury. Quarterback should be good to go. I don't like that. So that's bad enough for me. Trevor Lawrence, a couple of decent games in a row here for T-Law. And neither one of these featured a Trevor Lawrence rushing touchdown. But what I'm enthused by is 25, 29, a little bit of rushing upside creeping into the Trevor Lawrence. This is what's missing in this kid's game. He needs to threaten the run a lot more than he does. He needs to run for touchdowns on occasion. He's heating up a little bit, but Colts are a pretty good defense, and it's not really a spot that I think we should get too excited about. Tua, I never play Tua. For the most part, that's paid off. Here, one time he had a decent score. There's another acceptable score this year. But for the most part, if you've been like me and you've been avoiding Tua the season, you're probably pretty happy about it. So where are we going? Where are we going? We're going all the way down to Tyrod once again. That's right. Every time I watch this guy, he goes back to the same guy he was last week. Yeah, nothing changed. That's right. Nothing changed, except I think we got a little bit of clarity that Adonai Mitchell, rather than Mechie, is probably the better pairing for Tyrod. But let's just take a look at what Tyrod did last week. It just takes so little for him. He ran for 44 yards. He got the touchdown. That did it, right? The passing was just okay, 172 yards, threw for 1 touchdown. It was actually not a great game for Tyrod if you kind of look at it on the surface. The completion percentage is not very good. The throwing yardage was not very good. He did throw for a touchdown, which was nice and lucky, I guess. But, it's these runs, 44 yards and a touchdown, got him to 21. I don't think Tyrod has like that much upside above a possible 21. This is not an exciting play by any stretch. It's much more I think it's actually a floor play rather than anything else. But Miami defense, not very good. Jets are going to be at home again, and Miami offense can score. It's exactly the same situation as last week, except we're paying a little bit more for Tyrod here. Again, just to re-sweep through the quarterback group, right? Top play overall, Josh Allen, but he's going to cost us. Stafford, acceptable. Maybe some Jolo, maybe some Trevor Lawrence, and Tyrod. That's my early look quarterback group right now. Those are the ones that stand out. Hey, we got a long week ahead. If something like Mariota was starting, if Jaden Daniels wasn't coming back, I'm interested in Mariota. Yeah, that's about it. I can't think of anything else. I already mentioned, Burrow's interesting, but I kind of like Allen more in the same game. And maybe, Jaden, if he comes back, probably won't be into that. Yeah, if we needed to get crazy with Baker Mayfield, but I probably won't be into that either. All right, moving on to the running back position, NFL Week 14. Guys, let me know who your favorite running backs are for NFL Week 13. Hit me in the comments. Let me know who your top dogs are. Last week, we were on Achane, Breece Hall, Bijan, Kamani Vidal. Those were the really good ones. Played some James Cook. That was pretty good. I really hit, actually, really nicely. Some of the, actually, we hit pretty good last week at running back as well. That was one of the positives. Let's see if we can do it again here this week. Again, very tip-top. Jonathan Taylor, sure, right? Definitely. A little expensive to get to Jonathan Taylor, but if you can afford it, great. Right up there with Jonathan Taylor is Achane, who is also really great. A little expensive, $8,800. You want to get him in the lineup. Might not be able to afford it. Bijan as well at home. Bijan is proving week after week, 23 carries, 7 targets, 5 receptions, got a touchdown. Didn't even need a ton of touchdown work. Got 142 yards, got a bonus, 51 receiving. I mean, he put up a 33 with just 1 touchdown. That's all you need to know. This guy is not scoring a lot of touchdowns. We are 14 weeks into the season. Only got 7 touchdowns on the year. That is not good. Algerian, terrorizing everybody, taking those touchdowns away. But in the end, Bijan gets it done either way. We got James Cook here in the nut matchup against the Bengals. This guy put up a 23, didn't get a touchdown last week. I say James Cook in the lineup. So basically for me, if I'm not going to build a lineup around Josh Allen, I'm going to figure that James Cook will get a lot of the work. So I think if we had sort of a rule that was either, I'm not going to make the rule because it's going to end up being everything, but I would really emphasize that if Josh Allen is not there and not smashing, James Cook is probably smashing on the slate. It's hard for me to imagine this thing going down too many other ways. So we'll keep an eye on Cook. Bucky Irving's really interesting. Here we go. Derrick Henry, again, favored at home all the things are in place for a good, solid Derrick Henry performance, except for the fact that, I don't know, he hasn't really smashed, but he's been relatively consistent, 7-14-21. A 3X is in the cards. He'll need that second touchdown to get that 28-30 points. But yeah, I think he's a perfectly acceptable play. Check this out. Bucky Irving, his first game back. This is, I just want to pay attention to it. I wanted to see the usage on Bucky. So in his first game back, 17 carries, 2 targets, 2 receptions. Great. He's competing with Sean Tucker. And there was this idea that Tucker was going to kind of take away some of his work. Tucker got 2 carries, and that's it for 0 yards. Look at what DraftKings did. They dropped the salary down to $4,500. That should tell you all you need to know. At this point, even after 1 game back, the team effectively went all the way back exclusively to Bucky Irving. Will that continue? I don't know. But even checking Rashad White's game log, he only got 2 carries and a handful of targets. 3 targets, 2 carries. So again, seems to me that Bucky Irving has stepped right back into his lead back role in a smash game, in a smash spot here at home against the Saints. Bucky has got to be in our mix this week. I don't know any other way to do it. Josh Jacobs back fully healthy in a great matchup as well at home against the Bears. Josh Jacobs is going to be super hit or miss. So it's always going to be that way with him. Chase Brown, guys, even though Chase Brown has been cooking a little bit, and even though Buffalo has been massively exploitable by running backs, I kind of hope he'll be chalky this week, because I've got to exercise a little bit of caution here with Chase Brown. First of all, Pirine, who I keep telling you about, Pirine continues to get in the game. 14 carries, 14, 1, 4, and 2 targets last week, compared to Chase Brown, who had a little bit more, but not that much. Like, he had 15 carries and 7 targets. All right. So basically, you want me to pay $6,700 for a guy who's in what is effectively a full and complete time split with his backfield mate, and he's priced at $6,700, much more expensive than any other sort of shared backfield type of guy. Tack on to that he's a road underdog running back, and this is just not a spot that I think we should consider unless it was like low owned. But I think, or my early week thoughts is it probably won't be low owned. It'll probably be high owned. It'll ruin it. Keep it on going here. Kyron Williams. Let's see here. 13 carries, 1 target. Blake Corum. I've been off of Kyron Williams most of the year. I keep getting sucked into going back to him. And I have to stop doing that. Kyron is really no bueno this year. Too much of a split with Blake Corum. Not interested in that spot, really. Breece Hall, on the other hand, is a little bit more acceptable. Again, last week, Hall was kind of chalky. He did all right. He did everything he wanted. 19 carries, 68 yards, got the touchdown, couple targets. Like to see a few more targets, like to see a little more passing game work. Salary came up a little bit, but, matchup matches that. He's got another kind of cake matchup at home against Miami. So I think Breece Hall is not somebody that is the best thing to do when he's chalky, but as long as ownership doesn't get too crazy, I think that's fine. I'll tell you a spot I like a lot here. It is Quinshon Judkins. I think he's going to cross the 100-yard mark in this one at home. He's getting all the carries, 3 targets, all these carries. I think that Dylan Sampson was even out last week. He's got a cute. I don't even care. Guys, Judkins is going in the lineup here. These are the kind of running backs. When you can get Judkins, let's put the defense in there as well. So I'd love to combo that up. Will we be able to in the end? We'll see. But when you can get a player like Judkins as a favorite, this guy's been getting it done as an underdog because they're so heavily reliant on him. When we can get him as a favorite, I think we have to embrace that. Let's see what other spots are potentially available. Warren, no. Swift, no. Mason, no. RJ Harvey, maybe. Like, is it acceptable to play RJ Harvey here? Do I love it? No. But is it acceptable? I'm going to say yes. So RJ Harvey, kind of starting running back. That's a defense that I like as well in Denver. So I don't mind having RJ Harvey exposure here. Although, we have to accept, if we do that RJ Harvey is not a player that is generally going to see all of the touches. They just spread it around. They don't give him a lot of volume, which, by the way, I don't really understand why they don't, but they don't. Like, I'm not saying it's good that they don't, but they don't. Last name that I kind of wanted to touch on here was Chris Rodriguez. I don't love this. I don't even think I like it, but it is noteworthy that C-Rod, he's coming off that bad matchup against Denver or whatever, but this is a much better matchup for Rodriguez. The Commanders should probably be favored in this one, I would think. I mean, it's the Vikings and they stink. Let's see what Ja'Cory did. Yeah, so only 4 attempts for him. You got C-Rod with 11 and 1. Of course, they're going to bring in McNuckles for some of the best plays, but I do think Chris Rodriguez is somebody at 4,700 that should remain on our radar. That's all I'm going to say about that. He should probably be on our radar. Anyone else of interest? We got to see if Trey Benson comes back off IR. Even if he does, I can't imagine really wanting to play him in this spot. So, Devin Neal, 14 carries, 3 targets, 9.9. You know what? Devin Neal got the full workload. I can't take that away from him. So if Kamara doesn't come back, I guess, we'll think about Devin Neal as well. But I really like this group here. Cook, Judkins, Harvey at the low end. As we go to the high end of the running back group, Achane, Bijan, Derrick Henry are fine, Bucky, Jacobs, and Breece Hall. That'd be my first thoughts of running back NFL Week 14. Let's keep it going. Wide receiver group. But before I even break down this wide receiver group, I want you to run to the comments section right now and let me know what your favorite quarterback wide receiver combo is as you've done your first look at the slate alongside with me. Is there someone that I'm not thinking about, or you're just straight Josh Allen, T-Law? Where are you going? What's your first instinct for quarterback wide receiver stack week 14? Let me know in the comments, guys. Let's break it down here. So starting at the top here, JSN finally comes back down to earth last week. Didn't need him. 26-0 smash. Defense did all the work. That was a weird game. But JSN remains a stud. Seattle and Atlanta. Atlanta offense probably not good enough to push the issue here. So again, at that price, we'll proceed with a little touch of caution, but not too much. Puka also, he gets targets a lot, but we have not seen really a day worth 8,700 or 9, 18, 27, 36. He needs to put up 36. He's not even sniffing that. He hasn't sniffed it outside of one game all season. So, I'm going to proceed with caution with Puka. I think Devontae Adams has effectively ruined, not that he ruined him. Devontae Adams ate that little extra piece of upside that it took for Puka to go from averaging 18, 19 points a game to 26, 27 points a game. He's just not there because Devontae Adams is also really, really good. Like, what are you going to do? The Adams is also a very good player. Speaking of two, double, I guess, great wide receiver duos, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins back in play this week. I do like Chase up here at this price point. I think weather, outdoors, Sunday, Buffalo, got to kind of pay attention to what that is. This is early week. This is the first look. I don't know what the weather's going to be like on Sunday in Buffalo, but in general, Jamar Chase absolutely stands out between this trio, right? Or even this quado, or even this quintuplo, or even this hexto. I don't even know geometry. I just said words that I don't even know if they mean 5, 6, 7. I don't know what the fuck they mean. But out of all of this group, give me Olave all the way up to JSN, the whole group. Again, JSN flaws. The flaw being Atlanta probably going to get dominated by the defense, but still very good play. Puka has not produced a score relevant to this salary level all season and has to deal with Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams got to deal with Puka. He's only getting touchdowns. Also not really producing 8, 16, 24, 32. He'd need to score 32, maybe 30 to be relevant, where that has not happened all year. So the guy who can get there and probably will get there is Jamar Chase. So I'm going to put Jamar Chase in the lineup, but I want to keep going through this. Like Devontae Adams, yeah, fine, great with Stafford, but he's priced up too high here. Drake London, Q-Tag, tough matchup, not a bad quarterback, not in love with that. Justin Jefferson, no one good throwing him the ball. I can't get on board with that. Waddle is a disappointment machine every single week. The last time he produced a score relevant for a 7K price tag, 7, 14, 21, 28. The last time he did that was never. He barely got there once all season. So can he get there? Sure. Will he get there? Probably not. Similar, Olave, man, this guy just, I feel like he luck bombs into paying off the chalksters every week, but I don't think I'm going to jump on board that bandwagon, even though this is an actual good matchup for Olave. I'd rather do the other side of it with Igbuka if I'm forced to. So Igbuka targets are there. Production has not necessarily been there every week, but I just think, late season rookies, they just continue to improve. Not locked in, but again, there are not that many, I think, what would I call them, super viable plays. I think T. Higgins, if we didn't play Chase, one of Chase or T. Higgins is probably going to smash here. So why not? Forget the Q tag. He's got a concussion. That just goes away. So there's nothing to worry about there. Zay Flowers is not somebody I usually like to use. Brian Thomas, no. Harrison Jr., let's see what this Q tag is all about. I don't like the matchup. Q tag has me concerned. Odunze, also no one that I feel safe with. Not a good matchup. Jacoby Myers, 6 targets. Like, he's probably going to get 6 targets. Is that good enough? Probably not. Michael Wilson down here. Note that we only have 4,333 salary. So for the most part, if you're going to play, I think we're going to live down here in the cheaper zone of wide receivers this week, which is good because I'm not in love with anything that I'm seeing up here. Like outside of Jamar Chase, I don't know, it's pretty weird. But outside of Jamar Chase, kind of feel like, all right, yeah, JSN a little bit, a little Puka, fine. But for the most part, little Igbuka, no, kind of no. A little Myers, but not really. Little Wilson, but probably not. Cortland Sutton, maybe, but probably not. There's just not that much sexiness here until we get right. All right, so this is where I think it gets a little better here, and I'm going to be pulling players from this zone here. So as we get down here, I don't like Deebo Samuel either. He looks his age. I don't like it. But Michael Pittman, okay. This spot against the Jaguars, Pittman's been pretty good. He has his ups and downs, but this could be a spot against the Jacksonville team, not very good against opposing wide receivers. So Pittman very much on my mind. DK Metcalf is another disappointment factory, just bad. But Chris Godwin working his way back into relevance here. He's knocking the dust off. This is a guy I'm going to have some interest in this week. I have to go check his snap count. It's too early. Our snap count data isn't quite live yet. Actually, let me check. Let me check and see. Yeah, it's not. I checked and it's not live yet. So I don't know what his snap share was, but I would imagine that it's growing from week to week as he's knocking the dust off, coming off of that longer term injury. He's had 2 games back. Week 12, a little bit of usage. Week 13, okay, a little bit more. Now we get another week past. A little more usage here. It's not my favorite spot, but I think that's somebody I want to keep in mind. I will tell you one of my favorite spots down here. So Khalil Shakir, fine, acceptable, always with Josh Allen. But Josh Allen is generally better used unstacked. Unstacked is the best. So we skip that one. And the first name I'm going to plug in down here is Christian Watson. Christian Watson kind of seems to be elevating to the WR1 role for the Packers. If Chicago can make a game of this, even better. Chicago, not necessarily great against R1s this year. And I love this 10 targets. He's putting up numbers. He's a touchdown scorer. If the game doesn't go through Josh Jacobs, there's a good chance it's going to run through Christian Watson. So I'm plugging in Christian Watson there. And let's continue to scroll down through the various wide receivers. I already know where I'm going. But it is noteworthy. A couple of spots that kind of popped last week. First of all, Terry McLaurin had a big game. Pretty cool, right? Comes back looking like his old self. McLaurin looks healthy and fresh. That's pretty cool. Pierce seems to kind of pop matchup based. I don't know that this is one of those spots for him, but Alec Pierce, acceptable. PJ Washington, no. Seems rendered kind of useless now with Brian Thomas Jr. and Jacoby Myers in there. Addison, no. Dubs, no. I'd rather play Watson. Mooney, maybe. Just maybe, but probably not. DJ Moore, no. Tucker, no. Yoshi, no-shi. But then we get Adonai Mitchell stacked up with Tyrod Taylor. Look how nice that is. Look how beautiful that looks. Yes, please. Adonai Mitchell, 7 targets, 6 targets, 12 targets, right? And last week it finally come together because he finally started catching the ball. I've been talking about this really since week 12, where I was like, after week 11, he dropped everything. We said, hey, the team likes him. They're going to throw to him. He's wide open, but he doesn't catch anything. Week 12, couldn't catch anything. Finally started to catch the ball week 13. The talent is definitely there. Is he knocking the dust off? Is he turning the corner? Or was this a one-game anomaly? We'll find out this week, right? I think he's going to be popular. I think it might be too popular. Might ruin it. But either way, we can go there. And by the way, I'm not completely against the idea of actually playing the other guy, Mechie, as well with Tyrod Taylor. Maybe it swings back the other way. Continuing to scroll down through this wide receiver group. Yeah, I mean, Mechie, actually 4,500. I don't like the price. But again, he continues to get targets. This was not a bad play. It just didn't work out last week. So I definitely prefer, at this point, Adonai Mitchell here. But, beggars can't be choosers, right? Rashid Shaheed, no. Right? Is he even getting a target? Not really. Josh Downs, actually a couple targets last week, still doing nothing. Unacceptable. Dortch is kind of useless now with everybody back for that team. Malik Washington, acceptable, but nothing exciting there. Let's see what Keon Coleman did. Yeah, nothing. The usual. Oh, next man up. It's a couple of other names I want to get to here. That I'm just going to mention them. I'm not saying anything crazy, but first is Dontavian Wicks. He's coming off the big game, 28 points. I think he's going to continue to be used extensively, and I really like this price point. So Dontavian Wicks makes my player pool this week. And the other one is Lance Burden. We talked about Lance Burden going into last week's game, and everything came true except for him putting up a big number. So in week 13, we played Burden. We liked Burden. He was in the game plenty. 6 targets, did what you need, but he didn't pop for the big score. So everybody forgot about him. They're going to write him off. Don't do that. It's just variance now. He's getting the usage. The downside is Packers not a good matchup for anyone, but let's continue to pay attention to this kid because the big game is coming for Luke Burden. I want to mention a couple other names here. Devon Velley, top for a monster game. The Dom Station was shoving this thing. The props projection last week, shoving him down my face. I think we need to acknowledge this was a real event. 7 targets, 8 targets last week, 7 targets week before. Yes. Devon Velley in the player pool. Velley, Burden, Wicks, 3 players under 4K. Where do you hear about players under 4K anywhere else? Answer, nowhere. No one's going to put their balls on the table, giving you these cheap guys. Putting them on the table. Hammer comes down, just missed it. Slide him out of the way just in time. That's how we're doing it. Anybody else here even mildly of interest? The answer, no. So in the sub 4K category right now, yeah, we got 3 names. Valley, Burden, Wicks. Between 4 to 5K, you got Mitchell, maybe Mechie. That's about it. 5 to 6K, we're talking maybe a little McLaurin, Godwin, maybe Pittman. That cheaper group, maybe Myers, a little more expensive. Wilson, maybe, but probably not. Sliding up to the more expensive names. Nothing super exciting here. Higgins, Igbuka, and then Jamar Chase, and of course, Chase Watson and Adonai Mitchell. Let's go. All right, I'm going to go to defense first, and then we'll finish it out at the tight end position. Now, I had plugged in Browns defense before because I love them, but let's see if we can find what I like to call the cheapest viable defense first, right? So I would say, Raiders no, Bengals no, Cardinals no, Saints no, Bears no, Jets at home, maybe, right? So that one could be okay. I don't love it. Could be acceptable, though. Falcons, no. Steelers on the road, no. Jacksonville, no. Washington, there we go, right? Commanders, even on the road against this Vikings terrible stink bomb of a team is very much a viable play. I don't care if it's McCarthy or whoever the hell else they roll out. Commanders is playable at 2,800 here, right? But let's keep going. Who else? Who else on defense are we going to be interested in? Titans? No. Vikings? No. Maybe, but probably not. Packers? Yes. right? Packers at home against anybody are in play. Chicago, it doesn't matter. Colts against Jacksonville, yes. Dolphins against the Jets, sure, why not? Bills at home against Cincinnati, no, maybe, but probably not. Baltimore at home against the Steelers, probably not going to pay up for that. Bucks at home against the Saints, yes. Right? Cleveland Browns, hell yes. Rams, mid. Broncos, sure. And Seahawks at Atlanta, certainly acceptable. So if we want to pay up for the Browns, $3,700, all right. I think we can make that work with a $3,500 tight end here. Mason Taylor just doubled down. Let's see what he did. Yeah, not a whole lot. Could have doubled down Mason Taylor with Tyrod. It's not the worst thing in the world. There's certainly some other pay down options like Colby Parkinson's have been pretty good lately. Isaiah Likely coming off of a decent little gain. Gooner, go back to Gooner, 6 targets, 7 targets, 6. Gooner was somebody I was talking up last week. Did he do much? No, but he got the 7 targets. I can't complain on a sub 3K guy getting 7 targets, even if it doesn't lead to that much. I just like the usage. So this wouldn't upset me too much either. Secchi, no. Ingram, no. Loveland, maybe. I don't mind Loveland. Scrolling up here, Fannin Jr., maybe, right? You got a touchdown. Waller, maybe. Brenton Strange, a couple of good games, but not that much volume there. Don't get sucked in. Juwan Johnson, he's getting a lot of looks. This could be really interesting. Juwan Johnson, if we want to kind of create a situation where we can afford that, we can by simply switching off of Brown's defense to a cheaper one. So I want to kind of go through all of these here. Kyle Pitts, man, this is another guy. 8 targets, 7 receptions, still didn't put up an impressive score. This is why you never play Kyle Pitts as chalk. Again, with that being said, this week he gets another really good matchup, so do with that what you will. Dalton Kincaid gets a good matchup. This guy's been out forever. I don't know if he's even going to be back, so I don't want to address it. Zach Ertz coming off a big game. Warren in a smash spot, potentially. He hasn't had a big game in a while. I think he's due for 5K. Brock Bowers in a tougher situation, but can never ignore Brock Bowers. Never. Should never. His own team ignores him. We shouldn't ignore him. He should be doing much better than he is, but his team forgets about it. And then finally, 8K, McBride. This is probably the week we're going to have to not play McBride. 8, 16, 24, 32. That is genuinely asking. He is priced absolutely to the ceiling to a point where we can't get any value out of that. So I wouldn't want to necessarily do that. I'm okay with just closing this lineup out with a Mason Taylor just to tie it in with Tyrod. He's not going to be one of my higher owned plays, though. So, I mean, keep it in mind, but I do not mind closing it out there. And again, if I could pay up a little bit, I kind of like, or even pay down. I don't mind Gooner Helm here, going right back to that and just punting away tight end and just not even worrying too much about it. If we do gain that $600 to spend, I'm looking around. Where can I spend it? I might look to improve, one of these spots here. So, I can go from RJ Harvey to Igbuga or T Higgins, get that double stack going, which is fine. I don't mind that. Here we can get from Cook, who I love. Couldn't quite get. I thought we might be able to get to Bijan. Let's see though. Coming off of So the other spot would be coming off of Judkins, can get Hall in there, or Jacobs or Bucky Irving. So a lot of different ways to build around this first look NFL week 1. Most important stuff though, guys, let me know who your favorite combos. I mentioned in each position group, sort of my favorites for that group. We got our quarterback wide receiver stacks ready to go so far, the early week standouts. Let me know what your early week standouts are in the comments section. Of course, you want to be a part of DFS Army. My promo code Geek is still in full effect, 10% off any of our subscription levels. DFSarmy.com, promo code Geek. Guys, helmets up. I'll see you all later in the week. Take care.